Okay. There we are. Everything should be running good. How's it going, everybody? Welcome to another Thursday live stream. Started this one kind of later, like a little bit later than I would initially want to, but we did it. We did it. It's currently going. Notice that everybody's now joining. How's it going, everybody? I might need to adjust my camera a little bit. Fight for my life here. There we go. Like where my camera was set up currently, it was like shaking it all over the place, but now I'm very small in the frame. It's fine though, it's fine. It is fine. So yeah, welcome. Oh, there's a lot of people joining today. How's it going, everybody? Very good to see all of you. Always a real pleasure. Am I good with Alta Spinax? Ah, yeah, sure. I'm still a little bit salty about the situation, but I'll get there. You know, I'll get there. I did the apology video. Yeah, that's where we are. It's 1:20 in the morning. Son of a gun, go to sleep. That is early. That is an early time to be watching a live stream, if you ask me. Or late, depending on your schedule, I suppose. Okay, there's a lot of stuff coming in right now. Again, welcome everybody who's now just joining. Good to see you. Funny because I made a vid on Beckel Spinax before your video. What a nice coincidence right there. How's it going, Regalius? But was the apology video real, though? There was no ukulele. You're right. There should have been a ukulele. That way I could really accurately convey the sorrow that I felt. You know, I don't think I properly showed that I was truly and utterly apologetic for the situation. You know, I shouldn't have gotten as mad to Alta Spinax as I did, you know, and whatever. You got the Paw Patrol Spinosaurus? I did. I did. It's not often that you can, that one back there, for those of you who don't know, it's not often that you can find a Spinosaur, like piece of Spinosaurus merchandise that kind of looks like your logo. Do I prefer Beckel Spinax or Alta Spinax? Trick question. They're both the same creature. Huh. Did you see Regalius's reaction to your apology video? I saw the notification that I got tagged, but I haven't had the chance to watch any YouTube videos in the last couple days, so I haven't had the chance to watch it yet. But I'm glad that you did that, because I think that's hilarious. I think it's a perfect thing to do, like to continue this whole, you know, this whole thing that we've had with Alta Spinax. Can I make a little hat for it? I'm gonna probably ask my wife to do that. She knows how to do the art stuff, you know. Should I go to school? Sure. Yeah, sure. I have a question for you. Megaraptor relate to Allosaurs, and do Therizinosaurs behave like most pandas? Megaraptors, the Megaraptora, I think, is currently within Coelurosauria, which means that it's not too closely related to like Allosauroidea. As far as Therizinosaurs behaving like pandas, we don't know. There's very scant knowledge about the behavioral tendencies of pretty much any dinosaur in the fossil record. Behaviors don't fossilize too well, and so there's really not much that we can deduce given what we currently have. There's a lot of speculation you can apply to it, and sometimes like behaviors do fossilize. That's best case scenario, but it's you know, it doesn't happen too frequently. Can you add Dino Crisis 1 and 2 in Dino Stalker to the Mesozoic Media Park in Jurassic World Evolution 3? I'm sure I could do that at some point. I'm not too familiar with those projects, though, which is probably one of the biggest reasons why I haven't decided to go in that direction. I could tell one behavior. They died. Yeah. You can deduce that, that's for sure. Uh, have I seen Velocipaster? I have not seen Velocipaster, but it looks interesting. I'm not gonna lie. Uh, things are kind of paused. Let me get caught up real quick. Oh, what am I doing? What am I? There we go. I just got a Dinosaurs figure today. Really? From who? I have one that was done by El Reptiliano. I love it. What is my favorite fossil like ever? Probably Borealopelta, because that is just really cool. You know, it's a really cool specimen. It's very important, that's for sure. How do you pronounce Evan Yevinkar? Is it Evan or even? It is not even. My last name's not Evan Yevinkar, by the way. If you're getting me confused with Daily Dino Guy. What is my favorite dinosaur toy that I have? I don't know if you're including like figures with that, but like my favorite toy that like my favorite dinosaur toy. I don't have many of my dinosaur toys anymore. I'll count the Hammond collection, Spinosaurus. We'll count that. We'll say that. Have I seen the new Spider-Man movie? Yeah, absolutely I did. I think the dueling dinosaurs is the coolest fossil since it's validated Nanotyrannus. Oh yeah, that is a fantastic one. It was by Schleich. Oh, okay. Schleich has some pretty decent figures. Like I'm kind of impressed by their most recent Spinosaurus that they did. New Spider-Man movie was amazing. Yes, it was. We really enjoyed it. I thought it was a fantastic movie overall. What is the topic for the day? We're just answering questions, having people say things, and then we're responding. What are my thoughts on Tyrannus? It is awesome. It is an awesome dinosaur. And important, the largest feathered dinosaur, like the largest confirmed feathered dinosaur that we know about, as in the largest dinosaur that has direct fossil evidence that confirms feathers. My wife and daughter are doing great. How much do I rate the End of Oak Street movie? If I were to give it like a rating of whatever out of 10, like 1 out of 10, or 1 through 10, I would give it maybe a 8 or 9. I liked it. I thought it was a good movie. I haven't seen the End of Oak Street yet. Is it up there with JP for good dino films? I don't. I think it might be up there with JP. I certainly don't think it surpasses, which I don't think that's what you were asking anyway. But in my opinion, I think it's really entertaining. It doesn't have the same cultural impact that Jurassic Park had, that's for sure. But it's up there in terms of entertainment. Had a dream that you won an Oscar for acting as Anomalocaris in a documentary. Wow. All right. If I ever get an acting role for some reason, let's hope it's an Anomalocaris. You found a seashell fossil in South Dakota Black Hills. Really? That's awesome. Am I live on TikTok as well? No, I do not go live on two things at once. Can you please talk about Oshalaya? Oh, Oshalaya's it's both a really interesting creature and a frustrating one because of how fragmentary it is. Currently, as of right now, it's just known from like just small parts of the skull, so it's hard to say really anything about it. Uh, yeah, that's pretty much all I'll say. Yeah, that was my cat. This is Ahsoka. For those of you who don't know, she is like one of the greatest cats to ever exist. And now she's just up here. She's just hanging out. Have I seen the new Paw Patrol? No, but I think my wife and I will be taking our daughter tomorrow. I think that, she's I think it'll be a fun movie for her to watch. That's for sure. It'll be for her first time going to the theaters too. And what better movie to go to to bring her to than a dinosaur movie. Ahsoka, I can't see the chat. Ahsoka. Stomatosuchus, please. Oh, Stomatosuchus is cool. It's a croc relative, but it's a weird croc relative, and it's probably like one of my favorite croc relatives. I got the Mattel figure, and this actually kind of accurately represents what that animal looked like. Look at that. Look at the shape of that skull. That's accurate. And it also had like really tiny teeth inside its mouth. And this figure has that too. That is also accurate. These guys actually lived alongside Spinosaurus. And currently, the only fossils that we have, or that we had for Stomatosuchus, have been destroyed along with the Spinosaurus holotype, unfortunately. But it's really cool. It's a cool animal. And Spinotrap, thank you so much for the donation, dude. Do you think Prehistoric Kingdom added Spinosaurus mirabilis someday in the future? If anything, I think that they would add something like that. That seems like one of the most relatively easy ones to do, because kind of like how they did with Tarbosaurus. You know, it was just like they just essentially, in a lot of ways, it was kind of like a tweaked Rex model. They could just tweak the current Egypticus model to make it look like Mirabilis, giving it proportionally longer hind limbs, giving it a thinner snout, and of course elongating its crest. And then you could basically have Spinosaurus mirabilis. I think that would be perfect, and I think they should do that. But I'm not going to pressure them into doing it or anything like that. As far as I can tell, the developers of Prehistoric Plant or Kingdom rather have their plates full, so I don't really want to sit here and say, oh, they should add this, you know, because that's just not fair. What do I like about Denversaurus? Truthfully, I don't really know. I think I like the fact that it is a nodosaurid that lived in the Hell Creek Formation. Because up until like a few years ago, I didn't know that something like that existed. All anybody ever talks about is like Ankylosaurus, you know, the ankylosaurid that lived in the Hell Creek Formation. Nobody ever brought up Denversaurus. And when I found out that Denversaurus existed, it kind of like, it slowly started to like take over my life. I learned about it years ago, but then more recently I decided to do some more research on it. I think for like a short or something like that. And I just realized, like, for some reason it just clicked in my mind that this is such a cool dinosaur. It's potentially like the last nodosaurid to ever exist. And then it went extinct towards the end of the Cretaceous periods. It like represents the last animal in a lineage that we know of. Of course, there might have been more that we don't know about. And I think also the fact that it's just outshined by the other ornithischians that lived in the Hell Creek Formation makes it cool in my mind. But no, I really like it. I really like it. I think it's a cool dinosaur, and I think it needs way more recognition. What is the best dinosaur book that gives you many information? So there's a lot of dinosaur books you can go for. A good one, a great one to start off with, I think, is The Rise and Fall of Dinosaurs. That is a really good book. I've read it maybe 3 times, and I think it's a good introductory book for many a people. I mean, not necessarily, I don't know if you need an introductory one, but there's also, like, let's see. I'm like looking at my books in the back to see which ones I'd recommend. In terms of like a broad assortment of dinosaurs, which one would I recommend? Got a few options here. There's a few that are just simply called Dinosaurs. Another one, a good one, excuse me, a good one is Dinosaurs, New Visions of a Lost World. That's a fun one. I think that that one is a good one to check out as well. There's a few more, I think. You, Pokesaurus, you. How's it going, dude? uh, do you think that Diabloceratops would be a good herbivore antagonist for something like a movie or a game? I think it would because of those horns being intimidating. I think it would, and I think that we need more herbivorous antagonists in movies or games. You know, carnivores are scary, and there's a lot of reasons to be afraid of them, but a lot of times herbivorous animals are kind of more aggressive than carnivorous animals. And so to kind of properly showcase that in a movie or game, I think would be fun. And Diabloceratops would be a good choice, I think, because it has an interesting look about it. Someone asked about Dinobots, Dino Guy. Oh, heck yeah. Dude, it's the prophecy. We got to get on that. Do I have a favorite Paleozoic animal? Yes, Inostransavia. It is this huge Gorgonopsian that was like roughly the size of a tiger. It belongs. It's a synapsid, but it's a non-mammalian synapsid, which means that it's closely related to mammals, but it's not a true mammal itself. They also had these huge saber teeth. They're so cool. They're such cool animals. We've both been busy as hell. Yes, we have. Honestly. Yes, we have. There's too much going on. They released the trailer for Ahsoka season 2, and how did you like the Ninth Jedi show? So I'm on episode 2 of the Ninth Jedi show, and I'm liking it so far. I think it's a good show. And the Ahsoka season 2 trailer looked amazing, man. I love Thrawn. Thrawn is one of my favorite characters ever, and it kind of looks like I mean, from what I can tell in the trailers, it looks like they're doing him more justice than they did in the first season. So I am so excited for it. Did you look into what I told you about the Minecraft mod? I did, and I couldn't find anything about it. Which kind of lets me think that it's probably no longer around anymore. Did you know there's a T-Rex in the game Goat Simulator? I did not know that. That's interesting. Doesn't surprise me, though. There's all kinds of random things in that game. We need more coelophysoids in media. Oh, yeah, absolutely. What do you think if Nanotyrannus... what do you think of Nanotyrannus as the hyena of the Cretaceous? Probably more so the cheetah. It was really fast. It seems like Nanotyrannus was built for speed, and so it was probably chasing down its prey, kind of like cheetahs do, in a sort of fast way, like going after the local ornithomimosaurs or Anzu or Pachycephalosaurs. So I think I'd compare it more so to a cheetah more than anything. A really big cheetah. Have you heard of the wonderful Minecraft mod Alex's Caves? It has some great dinosaur designs. I have heard about that a long time ago, and I was going to check it out, but I never got around to it. I should probably do that. Spinosaurus and Megalosaurus were in the same group, Megalosauroidea. That is true. That is true. Spinosauridae branched off of Megalosauroidea around the Jurassic period. We just don't have any definitive early Spinosaurs from that period. Do I like Eupliocephalus? Oh, heck yeah. Eupliocephalus is a cool dinosaur. Who doesn't like ankylosaurs? They're iconic, really. Do you think it's Allosaurus as lion, Torvosaurus as tiger, and Ceratosaurus as hyena? I've heard those comparisons made a lot, but I haven't put too much thought into the Morrison formation specifically. The Morrison formation's weird. There's a lot of big dinosaurs that exist together. It's just weird. One of the reasons the time travel mod is gone is because it got pretty much no. Oh, I see. I see. They just kind of like stopped updating it. That's unfortunate. I wish that it kind of got the same treatment as fossils and archaeology, you know. What do you think is the third best dinosaur movie? Because first is Jurassic Park, and the second is Land Before Time. Uh, that's a good question. I don't know. Maybe End of Oak Street, but I'm gonna let it simmer for a little bit. Maybe the Valley of Gwangi. I don't know. Or maybe like the Lost World Jurassic Park. I really like that movie. I know a lot of people don't like that movie, but I like that movie. It's got a lot of good things about it. So maybe that one. Do we have any evidence of dinosaurs? Dinosaurs with evidence of disease? Yeah, we do. There is a sauropod that has evidence of what is it, air saccitis or something like that, air sacculitis. It was basically like an infection. It was an infection that affected the air sacs that traveled through its throat. Birds go through the same thing today, and there's evidence of it on a sauropod, which means that they went through it too on a larger scale. I think there's way more dinosaurs out there, fossil dinosaurs, that show evidence of disease, but I can't name any off the top of my head. That's the first one that comes to mind. What was it? It was like air sacciitis, something like that. But it was just some type of infection that affected the air sacs. And honestly, I'd assume that pretty much any sauropod and any theropod would go through something similar because they all had air sacs that ran through their skeleton, much like birds. Least favorite dinosaur? Seagulls, probably. I still like them. I still really like seagulls, but it's just hard to choose. Such a bummer that there is no living pterosaurs. At least for dinosaurs, we have birds as survivors. Yeah, it is a bit unfortunate. And the same can be said for probably some other lineages out there. But pterosaurs would be really interesting to still have around today. What would you do if you found a new dinosaur? I'd probably name it. What I'd name it? I don't know. Something. Have I seen Tears of the Mountain? Yes. It's a good short. I really liked it. Do you think the Allosaurus end of Oak Street is Big Al because of how injured it is and got hit in the leg? No. No. I think that Allosaurus went through a lot of pathologies in general, and I don't think they were thinking of that. The skull is weird. Like there's the snout shape of this Allosaurus in the end of Oak Street is like a combination of all of the different Allosaurus species. So much so it kind of seems like they made their own fictional species. Alice Big Al is an Allosaurus jemetsoni, and it's actually really easy to identify an Allosaurus jemetsoni based off of its snout. And while it kind of matches up, there's still some elements about it that make it look like Fragilis. So I don't think it is. And plus, Big Al got his toe broken, or her toe broken rather. Uh, it wasn't really the back of her foot. But yeah, they would go through a lot of pathologies. And I noticed there was a donation. Hey, thank you so much for the donation, Avalon. If dinosaurs managed to survive the KT extinction and humans also managed to evolve, I do think American ceratopsians would easily be driven into extinction by European settlers, 1800s Buffalo style. What do you think? I wouldn't be surprised. We can't take care of the animals we have today. If we manage to keep animals like that, like dinosaurs around, like if they managed to stay around like that, they would also be a threat. You know, they'd be on the brink of extinction too, I'm sure. So no, I wouldn't be surprised. Have I checked out the Jurassic Saga mod in Minecraft? I don't think so. I don't think so. The Allosaurus in the movie is T-Rex size. Yes, it is. Like, even if you wanted to say it was Allosaurus anax, it's still really oversized. There is some specimen of Centrosaurus with evidence of bone cannery. Yes, yes, that is another one. There's a few specimens that we know of that do have evidence of disease and stuff like that, which is also kind of sad. You know, it's also the thought that's like, yeah, of course, they went through the same things that our modern day animals go through. I've been to South Dakota for fossil experience. I think 7 years ago, I was allowed to keep fossils of common dinosaurs, but not allowed to keep species like T-Rex, not even new species. That makes sense. That certainly does make a lot of sense. Some fossils are incredibly like common, like teeth, for example, of certain species. That's like you can easily just keep those, and they wouldn't really be a detriment to much. So that certainly makes sense. Uh, did you know that the giant sequoia tree is technically the largest living tree or living thing on Earth, or the tallest? I did hear about that. I think I heard about that relatively recently. I can't remember where though. Do I like Godzilla? Yeah, I'm not like a huge fan or anything, but I watched the movies and I think they're really fun. They're really fun movies. Can you talk about Yangchuanosaurus, please? Oh, Yangchuanosaurus is a cool one. It's an allosauridoid that lived in Asia during the Jurassic period. And I love it so much because it has the coolest crest. It like has this huge nasal crest that led into its lacrimals, and it's just beautiful. Like it's hard to explain really. Maybe I could just pull it up uh on the old Google. Of course, I can go and grab my PNSO figure, but whatever. We'll just do this. And yes, I'm aware that you guys can't see yet. I'm trying to get it all set up. If that is what you're seeing, I can't actually see your chat right now, but I assume that's what you're saying. There we go. Yangchuanosaurus shangyuensis. Look at that crest. Look at that. Isn't that cool? I think it's really cool. I think it's a very cool dinosaur because of that, you know? Okay. Alright, I can actually crop this to make it so that I fill the frame a little bit more. Might as well, I guess. Why is it doing that? That's weird. Things don't want to work the way they should. It's better. Okay, back to the chat. Okay. Um, what's going on? Dinosaurs from Asia are highly underrated. Yes, I agree. I agree to that. Oh, there we go. Oh, geez, man. I think I like messed up the chat for a second because it like froze for a second. Now I think it's all caught up now. I think we're good now. Will you finish the Weird Birds reaction on the Paleopod? Probably not. I don't like doing that type of reaction content personally. Like, it's not my favorite thing to do. So probably not. It's a cool series. I like the series. I like Weird Birds a lot, but I don't think will. I mean, maybe they'll want to in some point, but personally, I don't really want to. I bet there's one person calling the end of Oak Street Spino-Ocealia. There's a lot of people calling it that. As somebody whose favorite dinosaur is Spinosaurus, yeah, people like to say that any Spinosaurus portrayal is an Ocealia. What is that Spinosaurus figure back there in your colors? Oh, that's the Paw Patrol Spinosaurus. I found it the other day at Target. And, I already knew that the Spinosaurus in the Paw Patrol movie had my colors. And I was wondering if they were going to do merch. The minute I saw that they did, I was like, I need to get this. It's not often that you'll find a Spinosaurus figure that vaguely has your coloration. So I got it, and now I put it up there with the rest of like my channel icons. I even have a Simosuka skull back there. My duck is named Oshalaya. That's beautiful. I love that. Do I have a gaming channel? Yes. Yes, I do. It's actually linked on this channel. Like it's on the featured channels portion if you want to go and check it out. I still have a lot of videos that need to be uploaded on there though. So keep that in mind. It's been like a few weeks since the last upload. It's because I've just been so backed up by projects on this channel, but we will get back to that. I was actually going to play Halo Campaign Evolved on that channel, on the gaming channel, but for some reason the videos wouldn't upload. So I'm hoping that YouTube fixed their stuff, you know. That was weird. I'm not sure if you guys saw that, but it got disconnected from OBS for a second. That was weird. Okay. Animal 906 House, thank you so much for the donation. I appreciate you, man. Oh, it was frozen. Okay, good. that's frustrating. That's frustrating. When I was little, I was thinking that Dimetrodon was a baby Spinosaurus. That's fun. There is no O, only BS. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. What is my favorite design in the Jurassic movies? My favorite design. I feel like I had an answer, but I always forget. Let me think for a second. Let me think long and hard. I really like the Carnotaurus. I think the Carnotaurus does a pretty decent job at portraying the animal. Like, it's not really too stylized. You can very much tell that it's a Carnotaurus. Obviously, it's not perfect, but I still like it. I think they did a pretty good job with it. Um, and obviously, I really like the Buck and the Rebirth T-Rex. Those guys are great. What's up, Dino Guy? Been enjoying the content, but this is my first time catching you live. Hope you're doing well. Oh, thank you. Oh, Scuttles, how's it going? And thank you for dropping by. I very much appreciate it. You ever share something dumb you believed as a kid and someone replies with, "That's not realistic," and like, "No crap, I was a kid." Yeah. Yeah, I think that happened a lot. What do you think the plot of the next Jurassic World movie? I have no idea. I don't know where they're gonna go now. They're probably gonna go back to Isle St. Hubert so that we can see the D-Rex again or something like that. You should really go to the Fernbank Museum in Atlanta. It has the famous Giganotosaurus skeleton and a 125-foot long Argentinosaurus. I do need to go. There's a lot of museums I need to go to across the country. I need to start planning next year's big paleo trip and see if I can stop at some of them. I think the next movie will take place on an island. My thoughts exactly. My thoughts exactly. Because they've given up on their good ideas. Animal 906 House, thank you so much for donating again. Do you think the in real life T-Rex can beat Spino, Giga, and Tom in a 1v1? I don't know. I don't think about those topics too much. Any like I've kind of like dipped my toes in that discussion in the past. I've made a few videos about it, but every time I make the videos, people tear me apart and say that I'm stupid. So I've stopped like thinking about it, and it's, you know, it's not the most fun thing to think about in paleontology anyway. Personally, I think that T-Rex would do pretty good. Honestly, I think that T-Rex would do pretty decent. I think that the Jurassic World movie dinosaurs are kind of weird in a weird sort of way, but I mean, Spinosaurus, I think the JP3 Spinosaurus would beat them all. You probably would, yeah. So yeah, maybe the JP3 Spino would win. That was built on another level. I mean, it crashed through like solid metal iron. Solid metal iron? Like solid metal fences. Ever been to Texas museums? No, I have not. I think the I've been to the Alamo. I've been to Ripley's Believe It or Not. If you couldn't tell, this was our San Antonio trip. But no, we didn't. We never stopped at any of the Texas museums. It's a bit sad because I know there's some really cool ones there that I'd like to check out. Have you heard that Dubai has a museum of natural history? It has models of Shastosaurus and Dinotherium, as well as skeletons of dinosaurs. Yes, and I don't know if it's the same museum, but there's a museum in Dubai that has the original Stan specimen, which I think is really interesting. I would like to see the original Stan. I take a blunt stance on who would win questions just to make people angry. That might be what I have to do, honestly. Go to the Houston Museum of Natural Science. Yes, I really want to go to that one. That's the one with the Denversaurus, isn't it? I think it is. What's your least favorite dinosaur movie? Oh, my least favorite dinosaur movie. Probably 65. I didn't really jive with that one. That one was something. That was something. I could tell you that for free. Is it disappointing to you as it is to me that Gus was sold to some rich guy? Apex is a complete Stegosaurus, was sold a few years back. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of the practice of. I mean, I'm not a big fan of the practice of selling them for that much. I understand wanting to sell things that you found on your land, but when it's being sold for like $43 million, it gets to be a bit ridiculous because that sets a bad precedent for like future fossil discoveries, because then some yahoos are going to go and they're going to go on to like land that they're not supposed to go to try to find a dinosaur fossil so that they can sell it for a lot, even though they probably can't sell it for a lot, and then that leads to more problems. um 43 million is way too much, if you ask me. And Apex was sold for a lot too. I can't remember the exact numbers, but Apex was sold a lot for a lot too. It's always really unfortunate to see like see fossil sales go in that direction. Uh, any question I can ask Nigel Marvin, because I'm seeing him next weekend. Mm, hmm. I don't know. uh, I don't. And also, thank you so much for the donation, uh, Hunt. Hunt Ethan. I don't know what a good question would be. I'm trying to think of what questions I asked him way back when. His stance on generative AI. I mean, I'm sure that we know the answer, but you know. Animal 906 House, thank you so much for another donation. Monkey. If selling religious artifacts is taboo, dinosaur fossils should be no different. Yeah, I think that there's a lot of problem with selling them. I mean, again, like there's certain places where you can buy fossils, but the caveat is that a lot of them are just like fossil teeth, which are incredibly common. Gus was like over 60% complete. So no matter how we want to slice it, it is kind of like a big blow, because Gus could at the very least increase the data set of what like for future studies, you know. So we have more statistics to place into certain models to try to figure out some things. I want to be a paleontologist when I grow up. Any tips for how I can be benefited? Focus on biology and geology. Those two are very important in the field. Is Gorgosaurus really distinct from Albertosaurus? I don't know about really distinct. They are very similar to each other. It's actually kind of shocking how similar Gorgosaurus and Albertosaurus are, but apparently there's enough differences between them to justify them being separate genera. But they are pretty dang similar. I think one of them is like the size of the legs or something. I think the legs on Albertosaurus are longer, or maybe it's the other way around. It's been a while since I've read into those animals. I made this theory about Allosaurus having from the end of Oak Street, where they added some dinosaurs to have details that weren't found in the fossil record. Yeah, it makes sense. Animal 906 House, thank you so much. Don't spend all your money, please. If all big carnivores all fought, who do you think would win in first place, second place, and third place? Oh shoot, there's a lot of variables that go into animal fights. That's one of the biggest reasons why it's like difficult to determine something like that. I don't know. I'm sure that T-Rex would take one of those places. T-Rex is kind of like insane in terms of its um bite force and whatnot, and its size. And then maybe like Giganotosaurus and some other Carcharodontosaurus. I have an obscure dinosaur question. How fast could Brontosaurus move? Oh, I have no idea. Okay, I can't answer that obscure dinosaur question. Ever consider doing a video on Toxodon? No, but now I have. Good idea. I'm gonna put that to my list. Toxodon's a cool one. I haven't heard much about it since prehistoric park. There we go. Do you think dinosaurs depicted in snow is underrepresented? Not particularly. While it did snow in a lot of areas, and you know, some areas it snowed more than others, it was still relatively rare. Again, I'm not saying it didn't happen. Of course it did. Uh, uh, yeah. I don't know if it's underrepresented, but it's cool to always see it whenever they have the chance to show it. You always skipped the Smilodon episode of Prehistoric Park as a kid. Couldn't take it. Really? Is it because it was kind of violent? It was kind of a violent episode, or was it because of all like the baby Smilodons perishing? Was the end of Oak Street giant turtle thing supposed to be? I don't know. Some type of a giant extinct turtle. No, the baby. Yeah, yeah. Okay, that's what I thought. Yeah, that. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. It's a very sad episode because of that. It felt the most real. I don't know what it was, but when he went back in time with, with that partner, it felt the most real when they were trying to find those Smilodons. And like they were actually struggling. It was pretty sad. Archelon? I doubt it's Archelon. If it's Archelon, it's not a good depiction of Archelon. Animal 906 House, thank you so much. Again, do not spend all your money, I beg you. Here's a fact about JP3 Spino was going to die by the Raptor Pack. Yeah, I remember hearing about that. It was going to die like it was going to die in a climactic fashion, and they even recreated it in Jurassic World Evolution 2. I think. Yeah, 2. Carbonemes? Maybe. I felt really bad because they didn't fully win. Yeah, it was sad. Hey, Dino Guy, I'm doing this thing where I write in a book information about dinosaurs. One dino takes up 2 pages. There's drawings of the bones, any depictions of the dino, etc. Got any tips? Seems like you're doing a good job with that. Just maybe you could put down like the size of the animal. Maybe try to draw a little bit of a size chart. Those are always really informative. They put things into perspective. They cut that part out of the film because the Raptors asked them to. They knew they stood no chance. It's interesting how it gets killed by them. Like they portrayed it as like this animal that can dominate even like a T-Rex, and then it just gets taken down. That'd be so interesting. What do I think of Ostroraptor? Oh, it's one of my favorite dinosaurs. It's a giant unilagid, possible dromaeosaur, but we don't really know. It was about 20 feet in length, which is pretty much on par with Utahraptor, but it was like built lightly. It wasn't as heavy as Utahraptor. And it had this really long snout, really long and thin snout that was filled with like relatively straight and conical teeth, kind of like Spinosaurs. And so it's possible that they ate fish, which I think is neat. Animal 906, thank you so much. What's your favorite Spino model? Last one. My favorite Spinosaurus model is currently probably the Surviving Earth one. I think that one is a very good reconstruction of the animal. Unless you're talking about like figures, in which case I would say the Mesozoic life Spinosaurus. It's that, oh my gosh, I don't know how to point. It's that blue one back there. That bluish gray one. It's so cool. Can you say random Carnotaurus facts? Carnotaurus was probably not as fast as many people think it was. That's all I got right now. Carnotaurus is cool, though. Have I ever been to Germany? No. No, I have not. I would like to, though. I would like to leave the country. The first time I'll be leaving the country will be this November. That's for Costa Rica. I'm going to do some conservation work. I'm really excited. With Dino Facts. What do I think of Dino Trucks? I have no opinion about that because I've never even seen it. I know I've talked about some of its creature portrayals, but I don't think I've never actually seen the show itself. I met the Sue the T-Rex statue at Liberty Science Center, and it felt like I was, oh geez, and it felt like I was meeting a real life dinosaur, and it was fun. I want to see Fleshy so bad. That Blue Rhino Studios statue is fantastic, and I really, really want to see it. I got to try to find it at some point. I want to check it out, you know. Could Nanosaurus have had feathers because it lived in a cold environment? I'd say it's very likely it did. It wasn't like snowy all year round or anything like that, but it lived in the northern part of North America towards the end of the Cretaceous period. And at that point, it was relatively cold with relatively long winters. So I think it would benefit from having more feathers than the typical large tyrannosaur. I have a lot of time next week or the week after. What's a good time for our little project? That's a good question. I got a lot of things going on. Um, we could probably try to shoot for next weekend. Might potentially work for me. When is the next prior extinction video? I don't know. I don't actually have prior extinction on my list, so I don't know if I'll ever get to that game again. I should go bald. I don't wanna. Oh, Raptor, thank you so much for the donation. I'm writing a story set in the Congo. I want to use African species. Were there any small theropods or dromaeosaurs known from Africa? Originally used Dakotaraptor, but I'm thinking of changing it. Small theropods from Africa. Small theropods. Is there a specific time period you want to stick to? I don't know about many small ones, at least none that stand out. Mashikasaurus. Mashikasaurus is a good one. It's in Madagascar, but that's not a bad one to do. Afrovenator is not a bad one either. I don't know about any like smaller ones in that. There are quite a few medium-sized ones. Like I think someone mentioned Rugops. Rugops is a good one. That's a good medium-sized theropod. A Belisaurid. Um, yeah, those are some of the most notable ones, I suppose. Where's my hat? Over here. It's right here. It's hot in here. What do I think of Mipe? Oh, Mipe's cool. It's one of the larger Megaraptors, and it's pretty terrifying, as far as we know. What about Pachyrhinosaurus? Did it have fur or something because it lived in snow? It most certainly would not have fur, as currently we have no evidence of any reptiles containing fur. Um, Feathers, probably not as well, at least not like a full coverage of feathers. Rather, you'd probably be looking at like sparse feathers. They were a bit more heavily built than something like a Tyrannosaur like Nanosaurus, so they could probably get away with fat reserves to keep them warm. Do I like the Rancor from Star Wars? Oh heck yeah, the Rancor's awesome. Okay, I think we're back. I don't know why it keeps doing that. OBS is having issues today, I guess. It's probably because I'm trying to upload a video in the background and it's kind of like messing with it. That's my best guess anyway. I froze like Nanosaurus. Yes, I did. Yes, I did. Thoughts on woolly mammoth and thoughts on scientists cloning the animal? They're not cloning the animal. I actually went on a whole rant about Colossal like a couple streams ago. I won't go on another rant this time because I don't want to put you guys through that again, but I'm not a big fan of the practices of Colossal. You know, Colossal, there's something. There's something. I'm not a big fan of the way that they present their things. Colossal failure. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Have you seen the Arc Ascended Ceratosaurus design? I feel like I have. That sounds familiar. I'm gonna Google it. Let's see it. Oh, that's pretty cool. Oh, I have seen this. Yeah, it's not bad actually. At the very least, it looks a lot like Ceratosaurus. It's very spiky, of course, which I wouldn't expect anything less from Arc. But it looks cool. It looks good, I think. Cool. Very nice. Extremely doubtful a Ceratosaurian like Carnotaurus had feathers, as they are very basal theropods. The thing is that feathers are probably even debate, probably even predate uh, theropod, like just theropods in general and dinosaurs in general. Both pterosaurs and dinosaurs have feathers, which means that it was likely present in the last common ancestor of pterosaurs and dinosaurs. That means it's very possible for every single dinosaur to have feathers in some way, shape, or form. Um, sure, like we've mostly just found evidence in Coelurosaurian dinosaurs, but we've possibly found evidence in Concavinator, who is obviously a carnosaur, and obviously we found evidence in Culindrodromeus and Psittacosaurus, who are both ornithischian dinosaurs. And even like the quill-like structures found on Halong Dongai. So feathers are probably a little bit more widespread. So I certainly wouldn't say never or even highly doubtful when it comes to like Carnotaurus or something like that. Just because they're basal. In fact, the fact that they're basal probably means that there's a higher chance that they had feathers. Um, yeah. I made a whole video about how we don't know which dinosaurs did and didn't have feathers. We don't know. I saw the video. Where's the Carcharodontosaurus skull from in the thumbnail? That is from Paul Sereno's lab. When I visited his lab in like a couple months ago when we went to Chicago. Really nice guy. Holy shoot, Raptor. What the fudge, man? Thank you so much for the donation. Jeez, Aloo, dude. Thank you so much. Um, I should have said medium-sized animal, height of a human or slightly taller. I'm using species that aren't seen in media because originally I had a Rex but changed it to Carcharodontosaurus, and for the Mokele Mbembe, I'm just using Jobaria. So if that's what you're going for, then I would probably go for something like Rugops. Rugops, I think, is a good choice for something like that. It's a little bit on the larger size, I think, compared to humans, but it's one of the better options, and you'd probably have like a really interesting creature for people to Google when reading your book, I think. So yeah, that's probably the route that I would take. But once again, thank you so much for that donation. I very much appreciate that. You are flipping awesome. Um, uh, and there's some good ones here. Acausaurus, Afrovenator, or possibly Deltadromeus. Deltadromeus is a little bit on the larger size, though. Deltadromeus is like surprisingly big. I was talking to a friend of mine called Jay, Kakapo Jay, and they've shown how big Deltadromeus is. Yeah, I hope that we get to hear about your book when it's done, because it sounds really interesting so far. Do I have a Dinochirus model? I do somewhere. I just don't know where it is. It's the Safari Ltd Dinochirus. I got it years ago. Actually, I think it's my wife's, so maybe that's why it's not here. What McDonald's meal would I eat with a Spinosaurus? I don't know. I don't eat McDonald's. Uh, what's like a basic thing to get? Probably like the 10-piece chicken nuggets or something. Is there evidence to support that Oshalaia was distinct from Spinosaurus? Yeah, currently the tooth placement and something about the reserve teeth seems to suggest that it was distinct from Spinosaurus. There might be more evidence coming out in the future, but I don't know yet. Or do I? I don't know. So you would eat chicken in front of another bird relative? Yeah. Same way that you, I don't know. I don't know if you're a vegetarian or not, but same way many people eat burgers in front of a mammal relative or in front of another mammal. I don't know, man. I've got I lost it. Oranosaurus and Spinosaurus lived at the same place at the same time. It did not. Oranosaurus went extinct about 15 million years before Spinosaurus showed up. What YouTubers are friends with you? Well, Lakota, Paleo Pizza. Um, I don't know. I mean, I don't know if I could consider him a friend, but I think Wild World. He's always really nice to me. I'll consider him a friend. Um, Evo Squared has talked to me a few times, and she's shown up in the videos a few, or like in the live streams as well. We're probably mostly acquaintances right now, but I don't know. I could probably consider her a friend. Oh, Sam, thank you so much for the donation. Samir Leon. If you reincarnated in the Mesozoic, what era and what animal would you be? I would reincarnate into the Mesozoic. That would be a Spinosaurus. Probably basic. I don't know. I like Spinosaurus. Okay, and I also just realized that we are currently about to reach the time, our time limit for today. But it was really fun talking with each and every one of you as per usual. I hope to go. I'm my current goal right now is to maybe go live a little bit more frequently. I don't know when exactly. My schedule is still really stupid, but it's it's just been really hard, hard to do so. So probably expect a live stream next Thursday. That's what we're going for right now, and we'll discuss a few more dinosaur things. So until then, it was good to talk to all y'all. It's always a real pleasure speaking with each and every one of you. And until then, all of you have an awesome day.